Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Want to hear me talk about my latest hyperfixation? I think one of my favorite genres on YouTube is analog horror. If you want a super in-depth definition of analog horror, it's not going to be in this video, but there are other videos, which I'm putting on screen now, that explain it way better than I ever could. So please watch them. All you need to know is that analog horror is a genre under the found footage horror medium that uses VHS tape aesthetic. That's basically the long and short of it. From Alex Kister with the Mandela Catalog, Rob Gavigan with Greylock, to Kane Pixel with The Oldest View. All these amazing horror series created on YouTube being able to be watched completely for free. And while the genre has definitely been oversaturated with some weirder content in recent times... Urban Spook! Oh, sorry, I just had like a weird cough. Even with the sides of analog horror, there's still some pretty good ones being made regularly. And one of the best recent analog horror creators is Silas Orion, better known as Dr. Nowhere. I've been a fan of Dr. Nowhere's content since he started making videos, back when the Toe 1 video came out, and it was still called Starving.Help. His videos are beautiful pieces of horror art, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all of them. And while yes, I've enjoyed his horror content, like the Boiled One Phenomenon, I think he's released his greatest video to date. And the thing is, it's not even in the horror genre. It's a simple 2.5-minute video titled, Where Did Life Go? A video that depicts an artistic sunfolk trapped in the monotony of his busy life, finding happiness in that life again. We'll start with a summary of the video, and then I'll go into detail about what my interpretation of its message is. So without further ado, let's begin. The video begins with a montage of a town full of creatures, Dr. Nowhere's creations, simply living their lives. A standout being Long Boy Bonsai from a previous video of the same name. The town is primarily framed with dreary colors like blues and grays. We then meet our protagonist, Jeppy. We get to see his morning routine. He gets up, brushes his teeth, or at least tries to every day, gets dressed, and then leaves for work. Jeppy clearly has a job that he considers boring, as the narrator describes it as a... While at work, Jeppy does nothing except wait for the sun to set, as the sun setting means he gets to go home and free himself from his boredom. Jeppy is either so tired from his work or dulled by the monotony of it that he can't even stop and appreciate something as simple as the sounds a wind chime makes, or balloons, which used to make him happy. This has gotten so bad that Jeppy wonders how much more of it he can possibly take. Monotony has dulled his love for life, and the only thing that brings him momentary happiness is his art. Jeppy is a miniature artist. It's one of the very few things that brings him joy in life, because it's something he can control. And despite having this amazing world in his hands, Jeppy is deeply saddened by the fact that he can't live in it. He's an outsider looking in on his own creations, envious of their simplicity and happiness. We move away from Jeppy for a second, and the narrator speaks to us directly, saying that though life can be gray, its meaning and beauty never truly left. Jeppy is then shown looking at a flower, one that he saw on his way to work. It looks like him, which makes him smile. The tiny bit of joy from appreciating something as simple and small as a flower. That's where life truly is. We then get a montage like the beginning one, but with much brighter colors like yellows, and an overall happier vibe to it, because the viewer, like Jeppy now, can finally appreciate the beauty of their surroundings. One of the last shots is that of a shelf with a bunch of creatures from the town on it, which will be important for later. Then the video ends, flashing the same sun logo that was at the beginning. So what does it all mean? Well, just give me... Well, I have some ideas. Before I start my analysis, I would just like to say I don't know Dr. Nowhere personally, so any guesses about what this video means in relation to him are purely speculative based on the video. So with that out of the way, let's start. And to start us off, what does Jeppy represent? Well, I believe that Jeppy is a stand-in for Dr. Nowhere himself. Not only do they both make art, but Jeppy is the current profile picture of the Dr. Nowhere channel, Twitter, and Instagram, which he has exclusively used for characters that represent himself, such as the actual character, Dr. Nowhere. Since Dr. Nowhere, the guy, and Jeppy are one and the same, we can assume their struggles are the same as well. Jeppy has his art, which he uses as an escape from the monotony of the day, and Dr. Nowhere has his YouTube channel, which is perhaps his escape. You can even see this in one of the final shots of the video, which depicts all of Dr. Nowhere's creations on a shelf. The same shelf that Jeppy's figures that he creates his miniatures with were on, which supports the idea that Dr. Nowhere and Jeppy are the same person, which only makes the message of the video stronger, as it's now not just a character experiencing a story, it's a creator relaying their own personal experience. Now that we've established the connection between Jeppy and Dr. Nowhere, we can move on to the lesson the video is trying to teach, and what Dr. Nowhere is trying to relay through Jeppy. That message being to stop with the busyness and focus of life, and to appreciate the things around you. Jeppy is depicted as completely disillusioned with the world around him. He ignores things that made him happy, all in pursuit of getting home from work and working on his art. He's been so doled out from his boring life to the point where the only thing he believes will make him happy now is his creations. But Jeppy knows that he can't rely on escapism, and it hurts because of that he can't always retreat to it. Escapism can be good to simply distract yourself, but to deal with your problems, you cannot rely on it. Jeppy finally realizes his problem of not appreciating the world around him when he sees the flower. He learns that life was always around him, he was just so focused on escapism that, like a lot of people in real life, he completely ignored it in pursuit of something else. From the start of the video to the end, the only thing that changed was the perception of this reality. This even affects the viewer, with the montages shown at the beginning and the end of the video. The first montage is cast in blues, a color associated with sadness or depression, along with no music, just white noise. This is contrasted with the ending montage with simple, yet uplifting music cast in yellow, a much brighter and cheerier color. The montages show almost the exact same images, but it goes from something ominous or dull to something to appreciate and find beauty in. The only significant difference now is the fact that the monsters are missing from the second montage and are now back on the shelf, showing that Dr. Nowhere and Jeppy have both separated their art from reality and are facing it head on. I believe what Dr. Nowhere is saying is that a lot of people think that the world has changed completely, or that things are different from how they used to be, which is not entirely true. Their perspectives of the world are what changed. Dr. Nowhere is showing a very important thing that I believe he learned firsthand, that people just need to slow down and truly appreciate the beauty of the world around them, because life never left, people just stopped seeing it. This video has quickly become one of my personal favorite videos on the internet. Not only because of the pure talent on display with the designs of the creatures and the video's presentation, but because the video's message is one of the most important ones for anyone to learn in the modern day. Myself and many other people can relate to the feeling of monotony that Jeppy has in this video. Going to school or work or any other thing can get dulling sometimes. But Dr. Nowhere did something very important by just reminding his viewers that beauty still exists in the world, all in a less than 3-minute video. A crucial message that speaks to a very relatable issue that a lot of people have, as well as a very joyous and comforting vibe, coming from an analog horror creator of all people, is why I believe this is Dr. Nowhere's greatest video to date.